Hey friendo, Steve here, and welcome back to the GFW Impact Review Show. Big episode. We had Destination X as the first. It was like kind of live. I think it was like an hour tape delay or something. But I don't know, it was the first like fresh episode they've had. All the TV tapings leading up until Destination X are done with. And so we had Destination X, just a slew of, like, I don't know, these like contracts. All sorts of stuff was being settled last night, and yeah, so they did. I think they shot like 2 episodes back to back last night, with more tapings on the way. But a bunch of you out there on Twitter very enthusiastically spoiled a bunch of crap for me for stuff that's going to happen next week. So thanks for that. Kind of bummed out about that. I wish I actually would have found that out sort of on my own, but I don't really care, whatever. Anyways, we started off with a really poorly done computer animation of where Impact Wrestling, GFW, can be found across the world, the various channels that nobody's ever heard of. Although Spike in the UK, I remember, do they still have Spike here in the US? I don't know. Anyways. The first shot we got is of Lashley and America Top Team walking in and to the facility, and who else but Double J himself, Jeff Jarrett, sneaks into the frame to shake the hands of one of the dudes of America Top Team, and the camera lingers on him, and of course Jeremy Borash makes a point of saying, "Oh look, it's Jeff Jarrett! Ooh, Jeff Jarrett! Wow!" So from the get-go, we had some Jeff Jarrett, but that was the only Jeff Jarrett we saw, surprisingly. In fact, we got a new authority figure tonight, and it was not Jeff Jarrett. It ended up being, I guess so, outside. Yeah, so it was a video package for matches that went on during the night, or that were going to go on during the night. We were outside Bruce Pritchard's office. The interview lady, I always forget her name. She was getting shut out, and she was like, "Ooh, there's somebody special that is going to be here. You'll never believe who I just saw in Bruce Pritchard's office." Wow. Anyways, the first match that we had was Gail Kim versus Sienna. Decent match, man. Gail Kim can still go. I don't know why she wants to retire. Probably because she's been doing this for a long time and her body's all beat up. But she looks great. Anyway, she came out. She looked like $1,000,000. Sienna comes out. I love Sienna. I think she's great. And it's kind of weird. There was no big unveiling for her title. She just came out and she had new title. So I like when they unveil these things. I like when they, make it all pomp and circumstance. I want to see it on like a podium, and then they take the little cloth off it, and everybody goes ooh, or they say delete. Anyways, Gail Kim was strong early. She went at a little bit. Anyways, Gail Kim came out strong early. Match went to the outside. Sienna got the upper hand over there. She threw Gail Kim on the steps. Back in the ring, Sienna ended up taking over. A lot of back and forth, and then somebody named Taryn Terrell, wearing like what looked like lingerie, came out, RKO'd the shit out of Gail Kim. Sienna hit the AK-47, which is her finisher, and Sienna ended up going over because of interference from somebody named Taryn Terrell. I don't know who that is. I imagine she has a past with GFW. Maybe I'll look it up. Maybe I won't. I'm sure everybody right now is in the comments saying, "Oh, you don't know who this is? What are you, an idiot?" Yeah, as far as GFW is concerned, I kind of am. Anyways, after that, Bruce Pritchard came out. He said that Alberto El Patron voluntarily gave up his title, so he's carrying the title with him. He said Alberto El Patron voluntarily gave this up, and he said, "We wish him well on his future endeavors." He says, "We've had some great champions here in GFW." I'm thinking to myself, you've had one, Alberto El Patron. Uno. And he says, because of the authority vested in me, I'm going to revert the title back to Lashley. So he calls out Lashley. Lashley's music hits, but instead of Lashley, we got Jim Cornette. That's right, as confirmed by multiple sources, like yesterday and 2 days ago. Jim Cornette in talks with GFW to appear as an on-screen TV character, and that's what he did. He came out, and then people on the internet were like, "Wow, what does this mean? Jim Cornette's back." Good for him. That's awesome. I hope that's great. Josh Matthews took a little dig at the internet there. He says he hasn't been relevant in 25 years, which is the same thing everybody on Twitter says whenever Jim Cornette says something stupid about Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks or Joey Ryan. That's what people say. You know what? I like Jim Cornette. I think he's got some wonky opinions about wrestling, but in the end, they're just opinions about wrestling. Like, nothing Jim Cornette says is going to affect how I feel about Kenny Omega or Joey Ryan, nor is it going to hurt their business at all. So It's just wrestling. You have your opinions. He's been around for a very long time. He was very successful for a very long time. And he's got a bunch of successful podcasts right now. So Jim Cornette's okay by me. I think it's great that he's in GFW. All I care about is that I'm entertained. That's what I want. Anyways, Cornette comes out. He rips Bruce Pritchard. They're sort of friendly at first, but Bruce Pritchard in the end is like, why are you out here? What are you doing here? Cornette rips Bruce Pritchard saying, you're crap, basically. And then he fires him. Jim Cornette fired Bruce Pritchard without really explaining how he has the authority to do that. I mean, Bruce Pritchard called out security to bring away Jim Cornette. And Jim Cornette turned around on him and said, security, you take him out. So the implication is that Jim Cornette is now part of Anthem's authority thing, whatever. Anyways, then Cornette gets back on the mic once Pritchard's gone, and he says, Alberto El Patron didn't voluntarily give up the title. He was stripped of it. He says he's here on behalf of corporate, so he kind of explained what he's doing there at that point. He says now people are going to have to fight for stuff. They're going to have to conduct themselves in a proper manner outside the ring. And he said next week, 20 men are fighting in a gauntlet match. And thanks to Twitter, I already know who won. So that kind of sucks. But you know what? Because I was really hoping that this Destination X, you got 2 hours. Crown your new champion. Crown the new champion. Why not, right? Just do it in the first one. Anyways, LAX came out while Jim Cornette was still in the ring. And they basically said, we don't trust you. They got in his face. Low-key said, I'm getting screwed over. I was supposed to get a towel shot. And Jim Cornette says, I agree. However, I will do this for you. You can get number 20 spot because it's going to be a 20-man gauntlet match. You can get number 20, so you'll have the best chance of going over here. So Low-key was like, all right, that's fine. But still, LAX was backing him down. Cornette said, if you guys touch me, you're going to jail. Conan said, we run the jail when we're in there. And he talked a little bit about prison life. So there you go. Anyways, all was well. Nobody got hurt. After that, we had the Super X Cup Finals with Ishimura and Desmond Xavier. This is a fun match. It was something you'd see like on 205 Live. It was cool. It wasn't like out of this world, like nuts. It wasn't like New Japan or anything. This isn't like Best of the Super Juniors. But it was a fun match. It was cool. Desmond Xavier ended up going over. He kicked out of Ishimura's finishing sequence where he does kind of like a inverted lumbar check kind of thing, like knees to the dude's chest though, and then he goes up and he hits a splash. Desmond Xavier kicked out of all that, and then he got kind of like a Pele kick win, so that was cool. He held the trophy and said, whoever has the X Division Championship by the end of the night, I'm coming after you. So that was good. Pritchard was backstage. He starts yelling at Karen Jarrett, who looks like she wants to laugh while he's yelling at him, but she's acting like she's mad too, but it just sounded like she wanted to laugh. And then she just starts screaming at him saying that you're never going to be in here. I've been watching this for 5 weeks now. I have no idea why they're mad at each other. They've talked. Like, there's been a bunch of times when he's like, Karen, come over here. And then they talk off screen. I have no clue. No idea why she's upset with him. No idea. I'm hoping they tell that story eventually. And Bruce Pritchard wasn't even that mad. Like, you've heard me in these reviews if you've been paying attention. Talk about Bruce Pritchard. He's just a really mild-mannered, kind of a dickish authority figure who does things a bit backwards. But there's nothing overly evil about him, you know? Like, even when Cornette came out, he kind of politely said, I'm trying to do something here. And Cornette started yelling at him. Is that Bruce Pritchard's thing? He, like, gets people angry without doing anything? Just his face? I don't know. Anyways, we had Grado and Joe Park backstage, and Joe Park was sort of hyping Grado up for something, but yeah, he did a thing, but it's not going to happen until next week. Anyways, Trevor Lee versus Sanjay Dutt for the X Division Championship ladder match. This was really fun. This is a really, really cool match. Really good use of ladders. These ladders were not gimmicks, so nobody was going through ladders, which looked like it hurt. The match went outside, went back inside. Trevor Lee set up a ladder that was sort of draped on the second rope over to the ladder, another ladder set up in the middle. After Trevor Lee was pretty dominant early on. He sets up the ladder. Sanjay Dutt gets up, lays out Trevor Lee, puts him on the ladder, goes up to the top of the ladder, and then splashes down on the second ladder that's laying flat there with Trevor Lee on it. It didn't break. He just sort of fell off it. Looked kind of awkward. But then the Sanjay Dutt was attacked by Caleb Conley, who I think is the guy in the suicide mask. But then he was attacked by the returning Petey Williams, who I think I've heard of, but I don't think I've ever actually seen him. But apparently he is the originator of the Canadian Destroyer, which is that awesome move that's absolutely crazy. Anyways, so the two interferences kind of nulled each other. They kind of voided each other out. And so it was back to square one. In any event, towards the finish, Trevor Lee ended up climbing up the ladder. Sanjay springboarded from the ropes to the top of the ladder, knocked off Lee, got the title. I'm bummed out. I really like Trevor Lee. Sanjay Dutt, from what I understand, he's the man with the plan behind the scenes with the X Division, which is fantastic. I think, bringing in Petey Williams, the guy who invented the Canadian Destroyer, is good for him. I don't really know anything. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I love Trevor Lee. I just don't think that Sanjay Dutt is I think he's kind of a charisma vacuum. I'm sorry. He might be a really good guy, and he might be really good creatively at booking the X Division. So far, I've been happy with it. But I just don't see him as champion. He needs to not book himself as champion. Next up, we had a Lashley interview. Said he's going to destroy Matt Sidell. And then he said, Matt Sidell was trying to get me to know his name. And in the very end, he said, "Do I know your name?" And he says, "Yes, loser." Just like in that NWO thing, he said, "Loser." Next up, we have the debuting Ohio versus Everything, OVE, the Krista brothers, taking on some jobbers. Kind of an interesting way to debut a hot tag team. I'm going to tell you why. Because the jobbers came out really strong and dominated half the match. And it was like they were on unlimited finishers because they were busting out what's that Jericho move, the Codebreaker? Yeah, they were busting out stuff like that left and right. And here's the difference. This is the big difference. And it's in the details of presentation of packaging. When OVE comes out, right? They're a big deal. And their video packaging was really, really cool. It was really great. But their ring gear just looks like standard kind of indie ring gear. It wasn't that cool. I think they wore cooler crap when I saw them teaming with Sami Callihan at PWG. It just looks like standard indie wrestler gear. They didn't bring the lights down and put a spotlight on. When I think of them in their video package, I'm like, okay, do something kind of Sanity-ish. All right? Do something a little different. Put some dry ice out there. Dim the lights. Put a spotlight on them. Do some red lighting. Their video package is very heavy on the red light. Put red light on them. That'd be kind of cool. But they just came out like your regular, normal tag team. I feel like I'm looking at these guys, and instead of thinking, wow, they're going to be a really great foundation for Impact, I feel like, wow, this is going to be footage that we're going to look at 5 years from now when they're killing it in NXT. You know what I mean? I just feel like they're not being presented in a way that is extra special, which is what they need to be doing right now. Presentation is everything. And it doesn't, I'm not saying that they have to kill their budget on it. Putting the lights, having somebody work the lights and, add a spotlight. I'm sure that the Impact Zone has a spotlight somewhere. Anyways, that's my own 2 cents. And then the match itself was kind of sloppy. I don't know if the jobbers just didn't really know what they were doing, but it wasn't a really, really strong, wow, OVE came in and they killed these guys. They let the jobbers get off a ton of offense. And I was like, man, that's because I don't know who these jobbers were. Maybe you guys do. Maybe they're staples in Impact. I just haven't been watching long enough. But I don't know. I just was not that impressed with how they debuted them. You know how debuts like this are supposed to go when you hype up people. They squash jobbers. That's a staple in professional wrestling. They look good though. They look really cool. It's just they need more texture to them, aesthetically. Look at Sanity. They look great. They have those cool leather jackets or vests and stuff. They just look like they're real. They look like they're costume designed, not by a wrestling person, but a Mad Max designer. You know what I mean? And that's how I kind of feel. I don't want them to be like Sanity, but Sanity's a good example of perfect packaging, and I don't think it's that difficult to do. Maybe it is. Anyways, next up we had this was kind of funny. Moose and EC3, who were supposed to be rivals. EC3 just won that grand championship off of Moose. They come up in tandem to talk to Cornette. and tell them that they want to be in the gauntlet match. And he says, yeah, you guys are definitely 2 of the top 20 athletes here in the promotion. You guys are good. But they weren't like going at each other. It honestly looked like they were hanging out backstage, chatting, having a good time, like, you know, talking about how the earth is flat. I'm joking. And then saw Cornette and was like, hey, we should go ask him. That's what it came up. They didn't come up like they were rivals at all, which was, I don't know, it was kind of funny. Anyways, after they leave, Eli Drake and Krista comes up to Cornette. I like Eli Drake a lot. I think he's great. But somebody mentioned on Twitter, because I don't really know anything about him. Somebody mentioned on Twitter that his promos sound like The Rock. Because I guess he worked with The Rock on some TV show, like that Hero one. I don't know what it is. And then now I can't get that out of my head. Because when the guy talks, when he drops a promo, he absolutely sounds like The Rock from like 1998. It is absolutely bizarre, and it takes me out of what's happening. And here's the thing. I think I've heard him talk not like that before, so I know he can talk not like that. And I don't know if he does it on purpose or if he just has the exact same voice as The Rock from 1998. I don't know. But it's really weird. I don't know. It's going to be difficult for me to get past that for a little while. Let's see here. Which I'm not gonna spoil it. Let's see here. Next up, we had Lashley versus Matt Sidell. This was a really cool match. This was really good. This is for the #1. Well, it was going to be for the #1 contendership. I don't know if that's still the case. I didn't notice if they said this is still to be #1 contender against whoever wins it next week. I don't know. And I don't know if these guys are in the gauntlet match. So at least that's not spoiled. And I didn't know who was going over here, so yay for not being spoiled. Anyways, this is a really good match. It was, you know, what you would expect from these two. Matt Sydell's a smaller guy. He's an X Division guy. Lashley is, they call him, what do they call him? Walking Armageddon or something like that. He looked huge. He looked great. So he was all about power and sort of explosiveness. That's kind of Lashley's thing. And Matt Sidell was about sort of evading and counter maneuvers. So that was really cool. The finish saw Matt Sidell go up for his shooting star press. He ate at Lashley's knees. Lashley put his knees up. Lashley then goes for the spear, but Sidell got out of the way at the right time. So Lashley hit the ring post. I don't know why I'm having troubles talking right now. Sidell rolled him up and got the win. It was crazy. It was really cool. Lashley's buddies from America Top Team were working or like sitting there ringside. And they're all kind of upset, especially one guy. I don't know who it was, but he was dropping some F-bombs. And I was like, you probably shouldn't be doing that. And then that guy like ended up choking out Brian Hebner. And it was a very gentle, fake-looking choke. But he was really trying his best, so it was fine. So, yeah, that was it. And then they cut to a video package of Johnny Mundo, who apparently is going to be going by Johnny Impact during his time in Impact Wrestling. So that's cool. But the funny thing is, like, the package was not that exciting. It was like him chilling in a bathrobe, like a bunch of quick cuts and stuff. But it was just him in a bathrobe, sort of mumbling about how he's here now. So yeah, I guess he's going to be showing up in that gauntlet match. That's cool stuff. So yeah, that's your review for Destination X. No Alberto El Patron. So I didn't miss him. So that's good. Anyways, hopefully we'll get some fresh stuff, some new stuff. No Tyrus. Apparently Tyrus is sitting this one out. I don't know what that's all about. Anyways, until next time, we'll talk to you guys later.